And when you mention, Mr. Amit Bhatt, as to how the system, even when it comes to pollution control, can be gamified, Kushan was also saying even the rule around 15-year-old vehicles or 10-year-old vehicles can easily be circumvented through the satellite towns in the NCR region. Is that not a problem? Because the basic culture of India is to do jugaad, and if you come up with a rule, especially which is about pollution or roadworthiness of vehicle, people will find ways to circumvent that. So the the fight to cleaner air cannot be relied entirely on the basis of just putting all the onus on private vehicle owners, because they will find ways to beat the system.
No, it's important, but we also have to understand, and if you look at the data, what within the transport sector, what pollutes most in Delhi? So one definitely is commercial vehicle like trucks. And then you have two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and cars. But if you just look at the sheer number of two-wheelers and private vehicles that we have, it's a humongous amount of vehicles that we have. So while Delhi did experiment with CNG, commercial buses and taxis, it was an important step, but we have not addressed the emission from private vehicle, and that number is growing. So cars are increasing every year by 12%. Now, what do we do? And if these numbers are going to increase, we have to shift to zero emission vehicle, because what you have to understand that the fight against pollution in cities is how do you reduce combustion, and whether it is mobile combustion like motor vehicles or even stationary combustion like solid waste, garbage burning, so on and so forth. So we have to reduce combustion in our cities, and that's a larger framing of the solution.
So, Amit, you're saying that it's also, while, as Vimlendu pointed out, private vehicular emission is not the most and the only pressing source of pollution from vehicular emissions. It's still a significant one. Vimlendu, in that case, what is the solution going forward in terms of feasibility? Now, obviously, building public transport, better public transport, is a Hail Mary solution, but it takes a lot of time. It takes years of sustained cooperation from all governmental agencies involved, and that is honestly unfeasible, because we stay in a country also where having your own private vehicle is a status symbol. For women, it is also seen as a sign of safety as well. So there will be several reasons why people will always prefer having their own vehicles, even if a public transport system is available. Then how do we make private transport a bit more economical, or at least better off for the environment here? Do we continue to look at solutions such as carpooling or even some experiments which the Delhi government under the Aam Aadmi Party had flirted with in the past but has never sincerely followed up on it?
Yeah, I don't think odd even and such, these are band-aid solutions when we're looking at the kind of issue that we have at hand. When entire city is in ICU, you can't be, administering paracetamol, and that's what.
Or maybe a low emission zone like what we have seen in, say, London and other cities.
Absolutely. So we will have to do that, because we need to understand that, when your AQI is almost 900 and crossing 1,000 at least, 10 to 15 days a year, and almost on average remains at 300, 350, hazardous and severe and much more. We'll have to look at many things. But at the same time, Mitanshu, we need to understand that what is happening to these old vehicles. Because if these vehicles are actually going only 15 kilometers away to Rohtak and to Bagpat and to Sonipat and plying, and if we all have the same airshed, at the end of the day, we keep complaining, and stupidly so, that the farmers pollute of Punjab have been polluting our air. And here we're actually sending most of the vehicles, and Kushan will tell you that what are these fancy vehicles, these so-called fit vehicles which are 10-year-old, where are they going? They're actually going to far south in Kerala, and they're actually going up north, and fancy BMWs and Audis are actually going to Punjab in that sense. So temporarily, you might pretend or feel good that you don't have a polluting vehicle in your immediate vicinity, but in your airshed, you still have the same thing. So they need to really find out a regime that looks at pollution through emission rather than pollution through age. And that perhaps would be more scientific way to look at it. But when you're looking at crores and crores of vehicles, we will have to really have some broad stroke policy making, and that's where perhaps the government is hitting at this. But we will have to have a comprehensive plan. We'll have to look at where is our pollution control board. As you won't believe that the PUC regime is the most polluting regime or the most corrupt regime that we actually have in the name of pollution control, which just doesn't serve the purpose. So comprehensively, long term, and a regional airshed plan is what is actually needed.
I mean, I don't even think whether vehicles need to go so far to Kerala or to go to the north here. I mean, it's the simplest solution most Delhiwalas have in terms of getting rid of a vehicle which is perhaps going to be phased out is to sell it in Noida or Ghaziabad. And again, we are all in the same NCR region, so I don't know how these vehicles still continue to ply 15-20 kilometers away.